Just start with some team news. Just wanted to go through a few of the players. First of all, how's Kagawa?
Still, he's back jogging, but very slowly. Still, the plan is to get him ready for the last game of the season.
Kim Dewsbury-Hall, how's he?
He's had an injection into his ankle. It's a little bit stiff at the moment, but we're hoping to have him training Saturday morning.
And Kelechi, is he back in training this week?
Kelechi's in training, trained today. He'll be in full training Saturday morning as well.
Any other injury concerns ahead of Newcastle?
No, but we've got another 3 or 4 days before the game, so we'll wait and see.
After that Liverpool result, Dean, I wonder how do you lift the squad in training after a performance like that as well?
For me, it's not so much the performance. The results is what hurts us. And I said that after the game. A lot was said about, players not applying themselves and not trying. Well, I've got figures to show that they did, match Liverpool in their running stats. But unfortunately, score lines are reflected normally in headlines, and that's what happened on the day. I can certainly say from the stats that I had that the players worked hard and ran hard.
It's not to throw mad stats at you, but in the last 2 games conceding 8 goals. Going into these final 2 games of the season, how do you kind of shore up that defence?
Well, we know we have to. That's probably been the biggest concern since we came in. I don't think we've taken the lead. I think once in 19, 20 games, conceded the first goal in 19 out of 20. We've conceded too many goals this season, so obviously there's a fragility in our defensive qualities, and that's something that we've certainly been working on since we've been here.
Do you think it's as much about tactics as well as the mental aspect in terms of conceding those goals quite quickly as well off the back of each other?
No, I mean, tactically, I thought we were really good for 32 minutes. Our goalkeeper hasn't made a save, and it's 0-0. And then, their goalkeeper puts one over the top of our back 4. We have a little bit of panic stations, and, they scored a marginal onside goal. And there's not an awful lot wrong tactically with the second goal. Sometimes you have to applaud the opposition for their play. So after that, I thought we got a little bit frazzled. And looking back, I said this after the game, but my reflections watching it back now are pretty much the same as well. So it was important that we got back in at half-time at 2-0, and there was an upturn in the second period for a short time. But you're playing against, and sometimes you have to give the credit to the opposition. Liverpool 2-0 up, tails up on the 6 games on a 6-game winning run. If you go and open up, then you can go and get beat 6 or 7, as we have seen them do to teams.
Looking ahead to Newcastle, there's a lot of games that will be of interest. Maybe Newcastle tonight, Everton on Saturday, and Leeds on Sunday. I imagine you'll be watching those games very carefully, because obviously that impacts the game on Monday as well.
The only game I'll be watching carefully will be Newcastle tonight against Brighton, because that's who we're playing next. I can't control what happens at any other games. Obviously, it may affect what we need to do at Newcastle. But look at the results. I don't need to watch the matches, that's for sure.
And just finally from me, Dean, if you don't mind, we're asking managers across the league over the next few days about Manchester City. You played against them in your first game here at Leicester. Just what are your thoughts on them getting to the Champions League final and what they've achieved this season so far?
Well, having seen them last night against Real Madrid, I think our 3-1 result looks a good result. They're a magnificent team, and a pleasure to watch at times, especially last night. The way they controlled Real Madrid, they controlled the game without the ball. And there's a great work ethic amongst the players and a great winning mentality. And, that's led by the coach. So, great to see last night. Cheers. Thank you.
Dean, hiya.
Hiya.
Obviously, difficult days. There's no disguising that. Just to touch on something Dan said, is your most difficult job to somehow pull out a performance now, come Monday night, from a squad that must be demoralised by the last few weeks?
I think they're demoralised by the last couple of results, because before that I thought we had an upturn in performances. It's very quickly forgotten. I've only been here for 6 games. When I thought four of the performances in that were quite good. The goals that we've given away in the last 2 games obviously haven't been good enough, and that's something that we've been working on.
It felt like some of the supporters, perhaps for the first time the other night, turned on the team a little bit. What do you say to the fans? You need them on side now more than ever.
The fans are the most important part of the football club. And I said after the game, I don't think there's many clubs in the country, if their team goes off at 2-0 down at half-time and they're in a relegation battle, that they're not going to get some sort of stick walking off the pitch. I think that's being a football fan. We as coaches have to look at it a little bit more rationally than that, and take the emotional aspect out of it. But we need our supporters, and listen, I don't need to pay homage to these players. I've inherited a squad. I've not brought any of them in, so I can openly criticise them if I need to. I don't feel I need to, and I choose not to, because the work ethic I see is there. And the numbers that I get from my performance department prove to me that it's there as well. The thing that's missing at the moment is keeping clean sheets and probably making fewer mistakes in the defensive third than we have done.
You're facing one of the teams of the season on Monday night. Given what you've seen, the squad you have inherited, how do you pull a performance out to get the result you need come Monday?
Well, I think we made it difficult, for teams early in the season, when we came into the club, and that's what we have to do now. We'll go back to that, be hard to beat first and foremost, but show our qualities when we get the ball. Newcastle have had a fantastic season. They've got a fantastic head coach who I was coming up against in League One, 8, 9, 10 years ago. So a lot of respect for Eddie and what he's done there, but we only have to concentrate on this game. This is our cup final now, and we know what we have to do.
And just a word on Johnny Evans, who's really stepped up to the plate on Monday after a long time out. You needed him to put a shift in, and he did. You've got to ask him to do the same again, I think, haven't you, this weekend? How's he responded, and what shape is he in going into that?
Yeah, I mean, I had no qualms in putting Johnny in. I think other people have questioned it somewhere, but he's trained for 4 weeks, so he's ready to play. He's experienced enough. He's played over 500 games at Premier League level, so yeah, I had no qualms putting him in when Cags was injured. Cheers, thank you.
Okay, Owen, ready, Leicester? How you doing?
Hi, mate.
Okay. Just on Kelechi, Ian Ancho and Kieran Dewsbury Hall, I know you said they're back in training on Saturday. Are they both available for the game on Monday?
If they get through training Saturday, yeah. So, I mean, probably Key's probably the biggest worry. Kel's come in and done bits today. Key hasn't trained yet. So he'd be the biggest worry rather than Kel. He's ticked all the boxes that we need to. We'll probably put him on a little bit of a fast forward button from the boxes that the medical staff would like to tick normally, but needs must at the moment.
Kieran Dewsbury Hall has been involved in all 8 of the Premier League wins, starting in 7 this season. How big a part will he be able to play, do you think, with this problem in the next couple of games?
I don't know. It all depends on whether he's fit or not. If he's fit, he can play a big part. If not, then nothing at all.
Once again, Dean, you're waiting on kind of results over the weekend because you're playing on Monday. What kind of effect do you think that may be having on the team at this point?
I did say I don't like playing on the Mondays after other games, especially when there's only 2 games to go. Because we're preparing for Newcastle now. I don't want to have to suddenly change tactics. Of what I've been working on for 3 or 4, 5 days. But we have to wait and see what results are to what we need. But one thing we do know is that we need at least a point, from Newcastle at this present moment.
Because you're playing on the Monday, because of where the teams are and the points are at the moment, it does take it slightly out of your hands, I guess, at this moment in time. How difficult is that as well, with it being necessarily out of your hands?
Oh, it's out of our hands because other teams, if they get the results, then there's nothing we can do. But we've just got to concentrate on Newcastle and ourselves and getting a win.
How confident are you that you can get the points needed to stay in the Premier League with this side?
If we get the performance that we're capable of, if we minimise mistakes, then yeah, not a problem.
You're heading to St James's Park, always difficult place to go regardless of the time of the season, but especially with the Champions League stages and the qualifications looming. What do you expect from that?
Pretty much what you would expect from going there. A very, very partisan fan base that will make it extremely hard for the first 15-20 minutes, and if they get their tails up, we'll make it extremely hard then. So our job is to, stifle that as much as we can, whether that's with the ball, without the ball, make them go where we want them to go, or even going and taking the lead and going to try and win the game.
Dean, thank you very much. Best of luck on Monday.
Cheers, thank you.
Okay, we'll just go to BBC Smiths with Colin.
Thank you. You said earlier on, Dean, that you felt the players have been demoralised by the last couple of results because the performances have been all right. And certainly looking at the pictures, close-up pictures, they looked it on Monday night. How much work have you done anything different this week to try and pick up that morale?
We've put on different training sessions to what we would have done, what we did last week. But that's pretty much just to concentrate on ourselves and what we need to do. Go and get the basics right. Demoralised is probably the wrong word. They're down because of the last two results and the position we're in. And as I said from the moment I first came in, again, I choose what I say about the players because I can, and they do care. I can see that from what they give every day in training and what they're giving in matches. So we've worked on some stuff this week about making sure we get the basics right, really.
And I sort of asked that because, working locally, obviously I sit alongside Leicester City season ticket holders, and the feeling I've had from them is that they've given up, and perhaps that happened some time ago, and I wonder if that maybe has just filtered into the club too deep to get out.
From my experience since I've been here, no, it hasn't filtered in at all. We are in the position that we don't want to be in, and nobody expected us to be in, and our job is to get out of it. My job hasn't changed from 8 games to 2 games, really. I think we're still in the same position as we were. If you look at it, realistically, it was going to be really tough to get points from Manchester City and Liverpool, as most teams find, during the season. We've found a game against Liverpool when their tails have been up. But, other games we would have expected to get points, and that's probably why the Fulham one has hurt us the most.